Maul Shadow Lord Season 1 has now come to an end, and I genuinely think it has been the darkest Star Wars animated series we have ever seen. But the one thing that has stayed with me more than anything else across these 10 episodes is Devon's journey. Because when this show began, Devon was clearly on the side of good. So, how did she end up, by the very last episode, agreeing to be trained by Maul as a Sith? Now, for anyone who needs a quick bit of context, Maul Shadow Lord is set in the early days of the Empire, following on from the events of Revenge of the Sith. It follows Darth Maul as he attempts to rebuild his criminal alliance, the Shadow Collective, which he originally founded during the Clone Wars, while crossing paths with Devon, a young Force-sensitive woman, and Darky, a Jedi who survived Order 66. The season runs to 10 episodes, and I'm going to take you through all of them, highlighting the standout moment from each one before giving you my overall verdict. And I have to say, this season has given us a lot to talk about. Now, before we start, I have to warn you that I will be going into spoilers. So, if you haven't already, please watch the full season before watching this video. Now that that's all been said, let's get straight into it. Episode 1 sets the tone brilliantly. We're introduced to Devon, Darky, and the world of the early Empire. And the show does a great job of establishing the stakes right from the off. The standout moment for me is actually a small but really telling character beat. We see Devon stealing a piece of fruit, and while it might seem insignificant, it's the first hint that Devon already has a dark side to her. It quietly seeds her arc for the entire season, and in hindsight, it's a brilliant piece of foreshadowing. On the lore side, Vario also references the Shadow Collective, Maul's criminal alliance from the Clone Wars, which is a great nod for long-term fans. Episode 2 slows things down a little, but it delivers a really important character moment. We learn that Riley wants to visit his mother, but Brandon tells him to wait until the two of them can go together. Now, I think this is Brandon telling us something significant about himself. He doesn't trust Riley's mother, and that kind of quiet, understated distrust is exactly the sort of detail that great character writing is built on. We also learn in this episode that Maul is planning to use Devon as a weapon in his revenge against Palpatine, which sets up a genuinely compelling dynamic between them going forward. Episode 3 has the standout moment of the early season for me. Maul somehow knows Devon's name, despite her never having told him, and this revelation leads to an incredible duel between them. It's a brilliant sequence, and I think it's the moment where the show really finds its footing. Earlier in the episode, Devon is calling Maul a monster, making it clear she doesn't fully trust him yet. But then Maul tells her how Palpatine murdered his family, and suddenly everything about the relationship becomes a lot more complicated. That contrast from "you're a monster" to hearing his genuine grief is brilliant writing. Episode 4 is where the outside world really starts to close in. The Empire lands on Genix, and that arrival immediately changes the stakes for everyone involved. Maul refuses to surrender to Darky and Devon in this episode, which tells you exactly where his head is at. He is only out for himself at this point, and he doesn't care who knows it. There's also a really grounding lore moment here. Darky reminds Devon that the galaxy no longer trusts Jedi, because of the lies Palpatine told during the events of Revenge of the Sith. It's a detail that ties this show directly into the wider Star Wars timeline, and I thought it was really well handled. Episode 5 continues the tension as the Empire puts Genix on a full lockdown. The standout moment for me here is actually a character beat rather than an action sequence. Riley lets Devon and Darky hide at his home, and it is such a simple gesture, but it tells you everything about who he is. He is fundamentally a kind person, and that warmth makes him a really likeable character in what is otherwise a very dark show. By the way, if you are enjoying this breakdown, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my coverage of Season 2. I've got a lot of thoughts on where this show is heading next. Episode 6 gives us the most exciting action set piece of the season so far. Devon and Riley end up fighting Marek on a train, and it is an absolutely thrilling sequence. There is also some really important backstory delivered here. Darky tells Miranda that he and Devon barely survived Order 66, which adds real weight to everything we know about Darky's character. And there's a revealing beat where Riley tells his dad not to fight the Empire, which shows us that at this stage he genuinely doesn't understand how evil they truly are. Episode 7 gives us what I think is one of the best fights of the entire season. Maul goes up against both Marek and the 11th brother, who, of course, is an Inquisitor who first appeared in the animated anthology series Tales of the Jedi. And it is an absolute spectacle. But the standout moment for me is Maul's vision, in which he tells Riley and Devon exactly how Palpatine betrayed him. It is a genuinely moving piece of storytelling. Darky also shows her compassionate side here, telling Brandon not to blame himself for losing Devon and Darky. It's a quieter beat, but an important one. Episode 8 delivers the emotional high point of the season. Riley and Brandon are finally reunited, and it is a really touching scene. What makes it even more affecting is knowing that Brandon has agreed to surrender to the Empire earlier in the episode, purely to save his son. It is one of the clearest demonstrations of love we have seen in this show, and it's a brilliant piece of character writing. And then there's Maul's vision of his brother, Savage Opress, being killed by Palpatine. I think this is the biggest lore moment of the entire season. It is incredibly emotional, and it crystallizes everything Maul has been fighting for. Episode 9 is where everything starts to escalate towards the finale. We see Dryden Voss agree to help Maul escape in exchange for being made leader of Crimson Dawn. Now, for fans of Solo, a Star Wars story, this is a fascinating piece of connective lore. It explains exactly how Dryden rose to the position we see him in during that film. Devon, meanwhile, insists to the others that Maul has saved them, which tells us her trust in him is now greater than her trust in Darky. And the episode ends with a stunning closing moment. Darth Vader himself arrives on the scene, setting up the finale perfectly. And then we have episode 10, the season finale. And I have to say, it is a brilliant piece of television. Darky is killed by Darth Vader, and it is genuinely shocking and devastating. Brando is left presumed dead, leaving the fate of some of our key characters very much up in the air going into season 2. But the most important thing that happens in this episode is Devon. In the immediate aftermath of Darky's death, she's consumed by a desire for revenge against Vader, and ultimately she agrees to let Maul train her, beginning her turn to the dark side. It is the combination of everything this season has been building towards, and the execution is brilliant. We also see Maul telling Devon exactly how Darth Sidious became Emperor, once again weaving in the events of Revenge of the Sith. So, what is my overall verdict on Maul Shadow Lord Season 1? I think it is a brilliant season of television. It is, without a doubt, the darkest Star Wars animated series we have ever seen. And I mean that as the highest possible compliment. The show is willing to go to some very dark and emotionally challenging places, and it is all the better for it. The best episode for me is the Dark Lord. It is where the show truly peaks, and it brings together everything that makes this series so compelling. If I had to choose a weakest episode, I would say Inquisition. Not because it is a bad episode, but because compared to the very high standard set by the rest of the season, it felt like a slight step back. The best character moment is Devon's turn to the dark side, built up so carefully across all 10 episodes and paid off brilliantly in the finale. And the biggest lore moment, without question, is Maul's vision of Savage Opress being killed by Palpatine. It is one of the most emotionally powerful scenes in this entire show. Now, in terms of what Season 1 sets up for Season 2, I think we are in for something really exciting. Devon is now beginning her training under Maul, and I believe this could be setting her up to eventually become Darth Talon, the Sith assassin from the Legends expanded universe. And with Dryden Voss now positioned as leader of Crimson Dawn, it is going to be fascinating to see how that threat develops. This was a brilliant season. I cannot wait to see where it goes next. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. If you want more Maul Shadow Lord, I've got a great video breaking down a detail you may have missed. I'll link it on my end screen. And my Mandalorian Grogu final trailer breakdown will be up there too. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss my Season 2 coverage. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.